How's it going, folks? Welcome back to Industry Mind Games, if it's still called that. Again, guys, we are pre-recording these, so I'm not entirely sure if the name's going to change, or if the overlay is going to change, or anything like that. But I am here with Gina the Cat, Brittany Lattanzio, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, so Brittany, what do you do in esports?
Currently, I do two things. I'm a player manager at Team Liquid, and I'm the general manager for the League of Legends division at the Collegiate Star League.
Excellent. That sounds very impressive. So
yeah, it sounds impressive. Maybe not as impressive as it sounds.
So Team Liquid's kind of a new thing for you, so I'll go ahead and we'll maybe put that off for later. But I guess you've been doing CSL for how long now?
Almost 3 years. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So when the season starts, or sort of in a day in the season, what's your average day looking like during like a match day?
A match day. Match day is kind of, my time is spread across kind of helping out everybody. So I'm not doing like one particular thing individually. I'm sort of behind the scenes, kind of making sure everybody else has what they need to do their job. So that goes from setting up the matches, match assistance, the broadcasts that we do, and then after a match, all the reporting, the match reporting that happens, and troubleshooting for that. So I'm kind of behind the scenes more.
Awesome. And so that's pretty much throughout the entire season, right? On every match day and things like that, right?
Yeah, every match day, and then either on weekends or if there are reschedules or whatever.
Cool.
Around.
What about like just planning out the season? What's like when it's time to start the new season? What's the first thing that you're kind of thinking about when you're like, okay, new CSL League of Legends season? What's going on? What do you want to push for?
It's usually a lot of all-nighters, and the first thing we sort of look at is scheduling in terms of the actual, like, when the events are going to happen, when we want the end to be the end, and then scheduling backwards from there. So a lot of it is just figuring out schedule and then working backwards for actual match days, playoffs, whatever, and then registration. And then that's the first thing we kind of focus on is promotion of the registration and making sure people know what we're doing. And even before that, again, it's rules and any sort of changes we're going to make to the season. That's how we start. We usually start that in the summer.
Yeah, and so when you're picking that end date, what distinguishes that end date? Is it a semester thing? Is it a general, we want it done just out of our hair by then?
It's never over. Generally, it really depends. So this year was a bit different because we are with Riot, and they have their date of the NACC planned already. So we kind of had to work backwards from them. Would be a good time to get our players in to their bracket. Previously, it's usually been a full 2 semesters. So a lot of the times we'll try and line it up with the school year and the holidays in the school year. Okay,
cool. And so for you personally, what's your goal? What's like the goal you have in mind for each season? Is it to pull off a successful season? Is it to push the boundary? What's the goal? Is it to survive?
It's to survive, yeah, without killing anybody. No. For me, it's kind of changed because when I started with CSL, I was an executive assistant. I didn't do any of the managing. And then when I inherited the League of Legends department, I sort of had to build it a bit from the ground up. And last season, I kind of focused more on the actual tournament and getting that underway. This season, I've been focusing more on production and trying to get that more scheduled, more structured. And then I guess next year going forward, I'm hoping more community stuff, so everything will eventually tie itself together. So it's really, for me, it depends on the season, and it'll be season-by-season goals.
Sure. So you kind of touched on, you built up the League of Legends department from the ground up. What kind of goes into that, or what do you feel is the most important department that you kind of, or the most important element that you focused on more so?
At the beginning, it was getting a good staff together, making sure that people wanted to be there, that they're happy, making sure that people are happy, and then it was very participant or like player team centered after that. So the focus is mostly on kind of like other people first, and then like the rest of the tournament and the production, all the other kind of computery stuff kind of falls into place after that.
Awesome.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely it does. And so do you feel like sort of the players, if you have the good players, you have a good staff, that everything else sort of happens?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, The good communication with the participants is a good one. And then a good staff that is dedicated and works hard. That's nice too, because they're all volunteers. So I really have to draw on esports passion to make sure things get done. But they've all been awesome. So.
The number one payment in esports is passion.
Yeah, exactly. Esports dollars.
So, since they are all volunteers, how do you sort of keep them motivated and keep them going and keep that communication level up with people kind of dropping off and maybe getting too busy with other things?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is I try to get them things that they want to do primarily, that either they just have an interest in it or maybe they'll think career-wise it'll help them. So that's the priority. After that, it's being very open to their kind of projects and their ideas, because sometimes people just want to do something, and I'm not one to be like, no, you can't do that, because that's, it's not very good. And if I find that if I motivate them and work with them on the things they want to do, they are more enthusiastic about CSL and more wanting to kind of be around for things. So, but at the same time, it's being understanding as well. When they have vacations or they have exams, not like being mad at them or whatever for having to take time off, because it's no problem. But I think it's a mix of being there for them and understanding for them and letting them kind of spread their wings, and try things out. So.
Yeah, I mean, is there a point where you draw the line where, like, this is really inappropriate or this doesn't work at all? We gotta shut it down, or is it all enthusiastic with you? Is it?
Everything's awesome all the time. No, I haven't come across honestly anything that I've had to be like, no way, that's terrible. Generally, it's more of the times like people kind of have a rough idea, and I'll just ask them a few questions to get them a better kind of reeled in a bit maybe, or more kind of with realistic goals or concerns that may come up that they should start thinking about. And I've done that a few times, and then whether or not they think about it and come back to me is a different story, but yeah. So far, nothing too crazy. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Never say never, though. You never know. The trend that I'm sort of seeing here with the interviews that I have done so far are the different approaches people have to sort of visions and like their vision for a project. And so there seems to be two philosophies where it's either I think big and scale down, or I build from the ground up and I start with the basics and go from there and see what the budget kind of fits. I mean, what's kind of your approach? Are you a dreamer? Are you a builder?
I would take the latter approach. I think I'm more like, let's make sure the foundation is solid before we expand too high, or expand too far, I guess. Yeah, so I generally like, when I explained my kind of approach to when I inherited CSL, it's exactly that, like trying to see what we should focus on first and find a good starting point. So I'm not a dreamer, unfortunately. I don't know. I think you can still be a dreamer and be a builder at the same time. I don't think those are mutually
exclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting to have the different approaches people have with it. But yeah, when you get sort of a proposal on your desk, so if someone does get back to you with a project, what's the is it something you try to work in, or is it something that kind of goes on the back foot until you have the general structure down, or does it really just depend on the idea?
It depends on the idea. It depends on the timing. It depends on what I've asked them for, because a lot of times when I have staff meetings, I am soliciting ideas from people, and sometimes they're like, hey, here's a great idea, and then we kind of work on it that way. So it's kind of honestly on a case-by-case basis, and depending on the timing as well.
Sure. So I mean, how do you run your staff meetings then? If you brought that up, how does that generally work? I've been in those staff meetings, but I just want to know how do you...
I was like, which ones have you been in, and how can I lie so that's like a tell you. No,
you can't lie, because I've been in all of those staff meetings, but keep going.
I try to, we have different departments at CSL, writing, production, community, tournament ops, and we have another one, but I'm forgetting. No, just those four. Admin stuff? No, that's like me, basically. I meet with myself in the mirror. No, we have basically those four departments. I like running through and giving them all a rundown on like the different responsibilities they would have, and then it's a good chance to kind of at the end tie everything together because a lot of it's related. For example, the production can really help the writers by saying, hey, this was the cool game, you should probably write something about this, and the other way around where the writers can be like, hey, do you guys have this VOD from this game or whatever. So like I like to kind of go department by department and then kind of as a whole, and then we always play League after, so
that's always fun.
That's part of it too.
So I guess that covers anything else you want to go ahead and touch on with CSL? Anything you think is interesting or anything in mind?
There's just so much that I don't even know what to touch on. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, and it's all hard work of a lot of different people and very supportive staff, and we're like a little family, so that's always nice too. And that's about it. Awesome. I love that.
Yeah, of course. And so yeah, and the thing is, guys, even though I'm not with the CSL anymore, I still talk to all the CSL people, and it is a family in a sense. Whether you worked for them before or you're not with them anymore, it's still family. So I highly suggest going with them, and maybe you get to work with Brittany.
Yeah, totally awesome.
Yeah, just gonna go ahead and throw that in there. Totally worth it. She is a dreamer and a builder at the same time.
It's true.
So let's go ahead and touch on the exciting news with TL. So you were with Curse, right? What were you doing with Curse?
Mm-hmm. I was. This is actually very interesting because at the CSL, I was given a nickname called the Double Jumper. This is from my dear friend Nathan Stans. Because as I said, I started as an executive assistant, and then I ended up running the whole department. So, I mean, at Curse, Nathan was a friend of mine at CSL, and he was working there, and he said to me that he was looking for somebody to manage a team, and I said I'd definitely be interested, and so that's how I kind of started with them. I started with just Smash Brothers and Hearthstone, so only like 4 players, and it was all new, so I had to learn everything, but I think I did okay, I don't know. And then I just had the Smash team because the Hearthstone kind of dissipated a bit, but and then moving forward, I all of a sudden got added to this merge planning chat, and I was like, what's going on? I'm confused. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting a Team Liquid email, and it kind of happened, and it was very like serendipitous. I just I kind of fell into it. I was very lucky, and now I've double jumped Nathan again, so it's probably pretty sad, but it's okay.
That's awesome though. So, but I mean, you had some pretty notable smashes if I remember. Were you working with Hungrybox and Chillin? MacD?
MacD he was there before I was there. Okay. I took his spot.
Wow.
Sorry, MacD. Yeah. So yeah, I was HBox and Chillin were my 2 guys, and then I picked up, when we moved over with Liquid, I picked up KDJ and Ken.
Yeah, of course. That's super
exciting. I still remember
exciting.
the phone call I had when I met them. I was like sweating, and I was like shaky, and then I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm just so starstruck, and they laughed at me. And then,
well, that's when you asked KDJ to play a violin for you, and then
yeah.
Have you had a chance to play with KDJ yet? Has he documentaried you yet?
No, thank God.
Okay. Yeah,
we'll see. Apex coming up.
Yeah, he documentaried a couple of us at MLG.
Documentaried?
Yeah.
Documentaried, okay.
If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, go watch the Smash Brothers documentary. It's within like the first 5 minutes, he plays like 3-on-1.
Yeah, that's right.
With like and that has been now referred to as documentary when he just completely bodies like 4 of you at once. It's great. Well, it's actually really impressive.
Yeah, I mean Apex is coming up, so
that's exciting.
See.
Yeah,
I'll get to beat the guys for the first time. So
it's cool. They're super nice. So yeah, so me being a manager, I have certain approaches and with call gaming and what I've kind of gone with it, and I've talked a lot about that on my channel. But what's your approach to team management and sort of player management?
This has been true of me for CSL and for TL. In both cases, it's always very much looking out for the players and taking everything they have to say into like really strong consideration, and trying to be as reasonable as possible with their requests. I think that's honestly, it's like that's what I'm here for. That's like my job is to look out for them. And as same with CSL, I consider them like my family basically. So I don't know. I'm very player oriented first, and then everything else kind of happens around me. So
yeah. So again, like I've talked about it a lot on my channel as well, but they are like my children. I care about them. I want to make sure they succeed and things like that. But I mean, sometimes you gotta lay the wood down.
Yeah,
I mean, like what?
Crack the whip.
What approaches are you using to crack the whip? What like what point does it have to get to where you're just like, you have to do this? Like, this is something you have to do. Where their opinion, you sort of have to maybe not overrule it, but sort of push them in a different direction a little bit.
A lot of the time it's, you kind of just don't mess around with sponsors. That's just like, and a lot of the time they've been really, I've not had to do that. Luckily, everyone's been pretty reasonable and understanding that. But I've honestly not, it's been okay so far. You're making me really concerned though.
No.
No.
Trust me, you can go ahead and watch my vlogs. There's certain discussions I have. It's, yeah. But no, what...
I'm just hoping that like everyone will just be happy and everything will be great and I won't have to do anything.
Sure. I mean, do you go ahead and set meeting times or scheduling with them to sort of touch base on a regular basis and things like that?
Yeah, for me it honestly depends on the player. Some players are just not available on Skype. Some players are like better through email. Some players, if you message them on Twitter, they'll respond. It just completely, and that's with staff too on CSL. It just completely depends on the person. A lot of the time, I just try to be there on Skype all the time and get to their requests as quickly as I can. But I used to do like weekly kind of check-ins, but that sort of it didn't work with the people I was doing it with. So I kind of go as things come. I kind of take care of them now.
Yeah. So anything in terms of what are you looking for the players? Are you looking out for in particular, whether it be they need something or maybe finding them something to do, keep them busy, anything like that?
Yeah, a lot of the time they're pretty self-sufficient. I've been pretty lucky in that they kind of know what they need. So I kind of just making sure they get what they need, and if they don't have something that they do need, that they know they can talk to me about it. So I honestly, it's been pretty blessed so far with reasonable and self-sufficient people. So hopefully it stays that way.
And
I don't think I answered your question very well, but
no, absolutely. I mean, do you set up? Do you try to set up or keep track at least of their schedules, or you just kind of like let them go off
that's right.
And really?
That's the thing I was gonna say. Yeah, they're actually they've been pretty good about what tournaments they want to go to, but I'm kind of, a lot of them are either they're all going to the same tournament, or if they're going to like a weekly or smaller tournament, they're good at letting me know. But I often will try to put in a reminder to let them know that they should let me know, because I can help them somehow, perhaps. So it really varies again from player to player.
Sure. And do you have a way of keeping track of it, or are you just kind of writing on a calendar, or kind of keeping a list?
Yeah, usually spreadsheets.
Yeah. Yeah,
when you were explaining this whole thing to me, what you were wanting to do, I was going to be like, well, it's an easy answer for me. If I can make it into a spreadsheet, then I will do it. And that's what I do. I just make spreadsheets.
Yeah, of course. Esports 101, guys. Spreadsheets are magic.
Spreadsheets. Merge cells and center things. Make it look pretty too.
Absolutely. I could show you the spreadsheet I have for this show, and it is full of names.
I'm sure it's beautiful.
And tons of stuff. But any real other things you really want to get done with Team Liquid? What's the goal in mind there? The mindset.
For me, I'm pretty easygoing. I just like, as I said, well, I mentioned to you before we did this, but Team Liquid was like the start of my interest in esports. So I'm kind of at the point where anything I can do to help and anything, give back is always what I'll do. So I kind of do things as I'm asked, or as people are like, hey, I need help. In terms of my goals, honestly, it's just making sure I do a good job with the teams that I have, and seeing where that goes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's something that it's a kind of the trend, I guess, that I'm seeing in your play, that you like to give back, you like to handle things as people ask them to give you to. How do you keep the balance of doing things that you're asked while still being a self-starter? Because I know you are very motivated to go ahead and get stuff done.
Yeah. That's a good question. It's hard. I don't know how much of a balance there really is. I think for me it's one and the same thing, because my idea of like what I want to do for myself is be a person who helps other people. So it kind of is related in a sense for me. Maybe I'm just weird, but I think that's how I feel about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so what's the I know you're in school for other things, but what's the end goal for the kind of the esports side of your life?
I'm actually not in school. I'm an old lady. I know.
Oh no, you're not in school. That's right. You're
Actually,
you're working at a school.
Yeah, I'm working at Rhode Island School of Design. I'm kind of the job I do in my real life is actually very similar to the jobs I kind of want to do in esports. So I've always said that, like, if anything, if I can keep doing what I'm doing and do it in a way that I'm not going to starve to death, I'll be very happy in esports. So yeah.
Any closing comments? Anything else you want to say or give in input, or anyone else that's watching kind of wants to get into esports? Anything?
Just don't get discouraged. Keep trying and do your best. I know it's hard, but try and thrive on the esports passion. That's about it. And it'll pay for itself. It'll pay off in the end. The hard work. So.
Absolutely. All right, Brittany. So thank you so much, guys. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Follow Brittany on _ Juno the cat, because Juno the cat is just a cat.
Just literally a cat. Yep.
So make sure you put in that _. Brittany, thank you for being on.
Thanks, Chris.
No problem. Any other shoutouts or anything else you want to go ahead and shout out to?
Let's see. I'm practicing this. Are you ready? Razor, HyperX, Alienware, Law Class, Loot Crate, Nissan. I've been practicing this so hard too. Oh my gosh, 3 more. Hang on. It'll come to me.
Alrighty.
Need to proceed.
And?
Oh shoot, I wasn't supposed to say that one. Oops, I may have leaked something by accident. No,
you didn't.
G2A.
Okay. And there's one more.
There's one more.
Want a hint?
Yes.
It's a Q.
What letters it start? Oh my gosh, quest! Oh my gosh, on a quest, hashtag. Yes,
there you go.
On a quest. Got it. Eventually, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Alright, yeah, all that stuff. It's good,
yeah.
Trust me.
Absolutely, guys. Go ahead, check out Team Liquid. It's an unbelievable site, as you've heard me say many times. Also, go ahead, check the CSL out at cstarly.com. Brittany, thank you again. And
Thanks.
guys, we'll be back later on with some more interviews.